Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear grade 12 students in Qatar Technical School. Today we will continue with Review C and this is the second lesson. Please go to your course books, page 49 and page 50, and let's get started. Our learning objectives for today. Students will be able to use new vocabulary correctly to complete the given sentences, use modal verbs in the passive and active forms, and use the given words to complete a dialogue. Dear students, in our lesson for today, we need the following vocabulary to help us do some exercises. So let's have a look at the important words. The first one, we have the word maintain. Maintain means continue to use something and don't let it stop or grow weaker. Like in the example, push yourself to make friends and to maintain the friendships. The second word here is the word remain, also keep, because they have approximately the same meaning. Here they mean stay in a state or condition and do not change. Example, 3 students remained silent. Then we have the word regain. Regain means to get back something that you have lost. Example, my mother went to regain her bag. And the last word in this list of vocabulary is the word depart, which means leave and start a journey to another place. Like in the example, our tour departs from Heathrow Airport on the 31st of March. Dear students, after we studied the vocabulary, now let's try to do exercise number 4 from your course book, page 49. It says, complete these sentences with the correct form of words in the box. Use each word once only. The words are remain, keep, maintain, depart, and regain. Dear students, please read the sentences carefully, think well of each one, and try to use each of the given words only once. Now pause the video, then come back to check your answers. Now let's begin with the first one. The plane maintained the same speed for the whole of the flight. Number 2, the temperature in the hotel remains at 22 degrees all day because of the new thermostat. Number 3, the ship drifted off course, but later regained its correct position. Number 4, the valve kept high pressure on the fluid continuously for 35 minutes and then opened and released the pressure. Number 5, the train departed from the station on time and reached the next station early. Excellent, my students. Now, dear students, let's move to the next exercise. Number 5. In this exercise, we have to change these statements or sentences from the active to the passive form. Don't use by plus the agent. After each sentence, write E, which means essential, R, recommended, or U, unnecessary, depending on the modal verb used. Now let's have a look at the first one, which is already done for you as an example. Number 1, passengers mustn't take bottles of liquid through airport security. Now we change it into the passive in the following way. We start with the object, bottles of liquid must not be taken. We use the passive voice after must not be. Then we complete the sentence. And here we write E because this is something essential. Now, dear students, please think of the rest of the sentences. Pause the video and come back to check your answers. Let's now do number 2. You don't have to wear your seat belts while the aircraft is cruising. Now, we change it into the passive in the following way. Seat belts don't have to be worn while the aircraft is cruising. This is something unnecessary. Number 3, people shouldn't eat large quantities of food during the flight. We change it into the passive in the following way. Large quantities of food shouldn't be eaten during the flight. This is recommended. R. Number 4, everyone has to switch off their mobile phones during takeoff and landing. Now we change it into passive in the following way. Mobile phones have to be switched off during takeoff and landing. This is essential. Number 5, people don't need to show their passports when leaving this airport. It becomes passports don't need to be shown when leaving this door. Now, this is unnecessary. And the last one, passengers should drink plenty of water during a long flight. So, plenty of water should be drunk during a long flight, and this is recommended. Well done. Dear students, we will stay in the course book, but this time we will move to exercise number 6. Write safety instructions, which are important in your technician or technical field. Here you have to write 4 which you can easily carry out yourself. Use active verb forms. Then, the second part of this exercise, you have to write another 4, but in the passive verb forms. Now, I suggest the following for you. We should wear safety shoes in the site. Another thing is we should wear a helmet in the site. Number 3, we should wear goggles while welding. Number 4 and the last, we should wear protective gloves while carrying iron. Now, dear students, think of your own sentences and try to show it to your teacher in the class. As we said, in the second part here, we have to write 4 which needs someone more expert than you to carry out. But we have to use the passive verb forms in the sentences. Suggested sentences. Number 1, safety shoes should be worn in the site. Here we use the same sentences that we have just used in the previous part. Number 2, a helmet should be worn in the site. Number 3, goggles should be worn while welding. And number 4, protective gloves should be worn while carrying iron. Dear students, now let's move to the next exercise, number 7. In this exercise, you have to write 6 sentences explaining what has to be done in this checklist. Use must, have to, and need to at least once each with passive verb forms. Example on the first one. Before long journeys, the brake fluid level must be inspected, and so on. Now, think of the sentences from 2 to number 6 and try to make similar sentences. Pause the video, try, then come back to check your own sentences. Now, this was number 1. Let's move to number 2. Every 10,000 kilometers, the old engine oil has to be drained out and replaced with new oil. Next, every 6 months, the brakes need to be inspected and adjusted. Number 4, during journeys, the performance of the brakes must be monitored. Number 5, every 15,000 kilometers, the brake lines need to be checked and mended or replaced. And the last one, number 6, before every winter, the radiator must be drained and refilled with a mixture. Thank you and well done. Dear students, we will continue with the exercises in your students' books. This time we will do exercise number 8. In this exercise, you have to rewrite these instructions to give the same meaning. Use the words or phrases in the brackets. Number 1 is given for you as an example. Only take food on site if the manager has given permission. So we have to start with food must not. So the example says, food must not be taken on site unless the manager has given permission. Now, as usual, dear students, pause the video, read the sentences, try to think of changing them like in the example. Now, please check your answers. Number 2 says, those dangerous chemicals should not be handled unless you are wearing protective gloves. Number 3, you must not walk onto the building site unless you have put on a hard hat. Number 4, these safety boots don't have to be worn if you are not going to work with live electrical equipment. And the last one, number 5, you should only start a long car journey after topping up all fluid levels. Well done. Dear students, now let's move to exercise 11 in your course books, page 50, and choose the correct words in the box to complete the dialogue. The words we need are agree, disagree, agreement and disagreement, would, should, have, go, am, are, absolutely, and sure. Do as usual, pause the video, think of the sentences, try to do it yourselves, and come back to check your answers. Now, let's check your answers. Number 1, I think we should switch our main energy source from oil to coal. Number 2, I'm in complete agreement with you. Coal is cheaper. Number 3, do you agree, Ali? Number 4, yes, you are absolutely correct. Number 5, but I am not sure about coal. Number 6, you have a point there. Number 7, I can go along with that. And number 8, I would agree with you there, but I still think coal is the future. Excellent, my students. Dear students, I hope that you enjoyed the lesson. We tried to solve most of the exercises in the book. Now, please log on to your Microsoft Teams account and try to do the quiz. Remember to submit your answers as soon as possible. That's all for today. Goodbye.